Joe Pesci's story is one of extraordinary talent, brutal setbacks, and a life shaped by fame long before he ever chose it. Born on February 9, 1943, in Newark, New Jersey, he grew up in a small working-class home. His father, Angelo Pesci, worked multiple jobs, and his mother, Mary, cut hair to help the family survive. Before Joe even understood childhood, he was pushed into entertainment. At just 4 years old, he performed on radio. By 5, he was acting in New York City theaters, and at 10, he became a regular on the TV show StarTime Kids, performing alongside future star Connie Francis. Growing up in Belleville, Joe was surrounded by rising musical talent like Frankie Valli, Tommy DeVito, and Bob Gaudio. At 16, Joe introduced Gaudio to Valli and DeVito, an introduction that directly created the Four Seasons, one of the most iconic bands of the 1960s. Joe himself was a skilled guitarist, playing lead for Joey D and the Starlighters, the same position Jimi Hendrix once held. In 1968, he released his own album, Little Joe Sure Can Sing, under the name Joe Ritchie. Though it faded into obscurity for decades, Joe's acting career began with a tiny appearance in Hey, Let's Twist in 1961, and then nothing for 15 years. To survive, he cut hair, performed comedy with Frank Vincent, and tried to stay in the entertainment world. His break finally came in 1976 with a small crime film called The Death Collector. But the movie flopped, and Joe returned to regular work in restaurants. He believed his dream was finished. Everything changed when Robert De Niro caught The Death Collector on late-night TV and was stunned by Joe's performance. He urged Martin Scorsese to cast Pesci in Raging Bull. They hunted him down at a Bronx restaurant, and in 1980, Pesci shocked the world as Joey LaMotta, earning his first Oscar nomination. At 37, the newcomer had finally arrived. The next decade made him a legend. His explosive role as Tommy DeVito in Goodfellas won him the 1991 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. His frightening intensity came from real life. The famous "funny how" moment was inspired by a time young Pesci almost got hurt after calling a mob customer funny. That same year, he delivered a completely limitless. He charmed audiences again in My Cousin Vinny, returned as Leo Getz in the Lethal Weapon films, and transformed into the chilling Nicky Santoro in Casino. Rent performance in Home Alone, becoming the clumsy burglar Harry Lime. His range seemed. But behind the success, the late 1990s brought painful failures. 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag and Gone Fishin' were critical disasters, the latter even overshadowed by a tragic stunt accident. By 1999, after a Razzie nomination for Lethal Weapon 4, Pesci quietly retired. He was exhausted by Hollywood, frustrated with stereotypical roles, and longing for a life that wasn't defined by violence, comedy, or chaos. Then came an even darker chapter. Pesci's second ex-wife, Claudia Harrow, with whom he shared a daughter, was arrested for arranging a hit on her later husband, Garrett Warren, in Westlake Village in 2000. Warren survived 4 gunshots but lost his right eye. Police uncovered a chain of hired hitmen and payment plans that led directly back to Haro. She was arrested in 2005, later pleaded no contest, and served over 12 years in prison. Pesci, who was briefly investigated but fully cleared, attended her sentencing in silence. Devastated, movie making had become painful for him, mentally and emotionally. On quiet golf courses with Jack Nicholson and Dennis Hopper, he admitted he no longer knew who he was. After decades playing extreme characters, he struggled to separate himself from the roles. When Martin Scorsese began creating The Irishman, he wanted Pesci from the start, but Pesci refused repeatedly. Scorsese and De Niro asked around 50 times, but Joe was done with Hollywood. Only De Niro's persistence and their decades-long bond finally convinced him. In 2017, Pesci returned to the screen as Russell Bufalino, delivering one of the most subtle, haunting performances of his career. The role earned him another Academy Award nomination and served as a final reminder of the power he always carried. Today, Joe Pesci remains a rare figure, a man who never chased fame, yet became unforgettable. His life is marked by early sacrifice, heartbreaking betrayal, hidden tragedy, and a talent that reshaped modern cinema. And in the end, he proved that even when he disappeared, his legend only grew stronger.